I would mount her.
Yes, I encountered Green Porno in its debut season.
I would penetrate her.
It's, I don't know, Sesame Street meets Joy of Sex.
She would snatch my head off.
It makes you just a little bit uncomfortable.
Sex! These films are about the sex life of insects. Well, the first series was about the sex life of insects. And I live in New York, and I often go to the zoo because I like animals. And so I called a friend who works at the zoo and asked her if she had a scientist who could help me. And she said yes.
I had been frustrated about not finding a good tool to communicate some of the conservation problems that I wanted to communicate. So I was trying to write popular articles and scientific articles and giving talks, and people go back and it's business as usual, and I was frustrated about that.
My first impression was that this is incredibly clever, very, very engaging. What a wonderful way to get people involved and become more aware of biology, marine conservation, biodiversity.
I went to the web and took a look, and the vignettes are absolutely wonderful examples of science communication in my view.
And when I saw it, and I saw the surreal part of it, yet the accuracy, the scientific accuracy, I said, this is completely new.
Because my film was called Green Porno, and the name porno, I think some people were, and they were my first film too as a director, so people didn't know exactly what I was doing, and they were reluctant to get too involved.
I think there might be some issues with sexuality. There might be some issues with it being a little too pop culture-ish, although that's an aspect of it that I find completely delightful because it seems respectful of scientists and friendly to non-scientists.
If there's anything that gets people thinking deeply, it's got to be sex. And if you can tie in sex to the environment and our caretaking of the environment, that's got to be a good thing.
I showed it to my children, aged 14 and 17. They thought it was wonderful.
I think it's appropriate for all age groups because each age group takes something different from it.
Have you tried it out on your own kids, though?
I certainly have. And my kids were very engaged, depending on the age, somewhat embarrassed, who thought it was very, very cool. What they didn't want was me around as they experienced the films.
Which one of the two of you is the artist and which one is the scientist? Sometimes I get a little confused.
I love that. I love to be confused myself. And I love to feel that I have a part of me that is still very creative. And I still understand the scientific method. And I would use the scientific method when the scientific method can be applied. But that doesn't mean that I want to live all my life only applying the scientific method.
I'm a bird watcher, bug watcher. I think sometimes this word, human watcher, I think that it's disappeared. But when you read the novels of last century, you have people walking in the woods, and I don't know, they describe themselves as naturalists, or I don't know if that is a word, but they weren't really scientists. They just observed. I observe.
Can you just explain what you're wearing?
Oh, this thing is just something I threw on.
I'm dressed up as a marmoset penis, and you can see my whole body is dressed up as a shaft, and the head of the penis is on my head.
I'm dressed as the back end of a male fruit fly.
This hat is a representation of the genitalia of a male shark.
While there are things that are wildly different in their strategies, ultimately it all comes down to the same meeting of male and female to produce the next generation of their organism.
What you see are two claspers which are used to introduce sperm into the female genitalia. You see the sperm packets are here, and these travel along the claspers which are introduced into the female's genitalia.
This is my version of an alien species, and in this particular alien, this is the male of the species. Its entire being is reproductive organ.
Sometimes they're also used for actually clasping the female, but that's been relatively rarely recorded, and the feeling is that they're more used for the introduction.
Basically, change its angular momentum through subtle motions of its very weak muscles and start spinning faster and faster. And as it spins, the centripetal acceleration will cause these things to become erect and will force the seed, the sperm here, naturally to flow into the females.
Now, I've got some great cousins in the fish world who also have some brilliant reproductive strategies. I'd love to tell you about what salmon do someday, but that'll have to wait for Green Porno 4.
Preparing for the Winter Olympics.
Stapleton.
Are you filming video?
Next.
Yeah.
Like this angle is actually use. There's two options.
What is that?
Before we do. Yes.
Now, I'd like to draw your attention to the salient features, the claspers, the fins, and of course, a bit of Green Porno.
And using the air currents, and will start to spin around, and it has multiple members, which are
intermittent. I'm guilty of sperm competition.
Who are you? And
How the hell do you use that?
I'm a mallard penis.
direction it points.
This is my fluffy belly.
My name is Klaatu. I come from a distant world to deliver an important message.
Come on, it has to be more of a promenade, guys. Ask for directions.
Oh, nice shot. Good idea.
How's that?
As he gets run over and hit by cars?
Isabella, just 1 second, Isabella. Justina from WCS wants to give you this book that she wrote.
Wonderful.